I endured a Karen until her kids decided to come after my kids. Why did I even bother? Ladies, this is going to be long. If you have the patience to read through it, I truly appreciate it because I'm about to explode from everything going on, and I don't even know what I want more. Advice, validation, or maybe just a collective sigh from other women who understand the madness that is being caught between our adult problems and our children's lives. Anyway, here goes nothing. We moved to this new city 2 years ago. Starting over was hard, but after a few months, we found our footing. And I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of fun at first. New place, new opportunities, a fresh start. We slowly found new friends. The community here is tight-knit but welcoming, and soon we had our little circle of families. It felt perfect. Our kids were all the same age. Our husbands bonded over whatever it is men bond over, grilling beer sports, who knows? And us wives, we clicked. We'd go to the park for barbecues, hit the lake on weekends, celebrate birthdays together, and occasionally, the girls, that's us, would take our own trips downtown for coffee and some much-needed adult conversation. At first I thought, wow, this is amazing. Moving wasn't so bad after all. We had a rhythm. Our little community was like a well-oiled machine, and I was proud of it. Proud of how we all fit together like a puzzle. We were new friends, sure, but it felt solid, like we had something good going on. Then, 4 months ago, the new family moved in. You know how it is when someone new joins the mix. You're excited, but you're also a little cautious. Will they fit in? Will they mess up the dynamic? I shouldn't have worried. Not because they fit in. Oh, how I wish they had. But because my cautious instinct was dead on. I first met her, let's call her Olga, at the pool. Her kids seemed nice enough. Her husband was quiet. Too quiet, as it turns out. But she was a force. And not in a good way. She's the type that takes over any conversation, any space, any situation. At first, I thought, okay, maybe she's just trying to fit in. We've all been the new person at some point, so I gave her the benefit of the doubt. But no, she wasn't trying to fit in. She was trying to take over. Imagine this. A group of women who've built a lovely, comfortable dynamic, and suddenly this hurricane of a woman storms in and starts laying down rules like she's the queen of our group. We're not going there. We're not doing that. That's dangerous. This is how we should do things. What's worse is, she didn't even frame it as suggestions. These were flat-out demands. Like, who does that? And her husband? Silent. A mute. He gets along fine with our husbands, but when it comes to reining in his wife, not a word. Just stands there, smiling and nodding while she takes over everything. Our group, our beautifully balanced group, started falling apart. Some of the families, like mine, couldn't handle her bossy attitude. We weren't about to let her dictate how we live our lives. But 2 of the families, they stuck with her. Oh, they grumble about her behind her back. I've heard them complain that she's pushy, controlling, impossible. But do they do anything about it? Nope. They just go along with whatever she says, like little puppets. It's pathetic, really. And then there's my closest friend in this whole mess. Let's call her Lena. She and I bonded more than anyone else in the group. We were inseparable. Our kids played together constantly. Our husbands got along great. We even carpooled to events. So when Olga swooped in and Lena didn't just fall for it, but actually stayed with her, that hurt. She calls me all the time, complaining about Olga, about how impossible she is, but when I ask her why she doesn't just stand up to her or come back to the group that actually values her, she clams up. Oh, I don't want to hurt her feelings, she says. She's really not that bad. Seriously? Not that bad? She's an emotional tyrant. Now it's like Lena's living a double life. She meets up with us in secret, terrified that Olga will find out. I kid you not, she tells her kids not to mention anything to Olga's kids. Her husband, too. It's like they're living in some sort of spy thriller, always covering their tracks, always looking over their shoulders. I tell her she's being ridiculous, that this isn't high school, but she just shrugs it off. It's easier this way, she says. Easier for whom? Because it sure isn't easier for her. Or me. The bombshell hit when the kids let something slip at school. Of course they did. Kids talk. Somehow, it got back to Olga that Lena and her family were still hanging out with us. And she lost it. Lena called me in tears, not just crying, but hysterical, saying Olga had chewed her out and now she didn't know what to do. And then, to top it all off, she blamed my kids. Can you believe that? She actually accused my kids of being the ones to spill the secret, as if I'm going to make my kids lie or sneak around. No, thank you. If anyone should be ashamed here, it's her for teaching her kids to keep secrets. So now, Lena won't call me. It's been a week of silence after her meltdown, and while I feel bad for her, I don't feel guilty. Not even a little. My kids aren't the bad guys here, and I'll be damned if I let her or anyone else make them feel like they are. But here's the real kicker, the part that's driving me up the wall. At school, Lena's kids and Olga's kids have now turned against mine. That's the part that stings the most. My kids don't deserve this. They were all such good friends, and now because of this mess between the adults, they're suffering. My kids, of course, have other friends, and thank God for that. But still, they've noticed the shift, and it's breaking my heart. Kids shouldn't have to deal with this. And this is where I'm stuck, ladies. I don't care about Olga. I don't care if I ever see her again, honestly. But I do care about Lena. Or at least, I did. Now I'm starting to wonder if she was ever really my friend in the first place. If she can so easily throw me and my family under the bus, what kind of friendship is that? And then there's the kids. I don't know what to do. I can't make other kids like mine, but I hate that they're being dragged into this adult drama. I've tried talking to Lena, telling her that this has to stop, that our kids shouldn't be suffering because of all this nonsense. But she's stuck in her own head, wrapped up in her guilt and fear of upsetting Olga. It's like Olga's got some kind of hold over her, and I just don't get it. Why would anyone let someone like that control their life? And to add insult to injury, I heard through the grapevine that Olga's planning some huge party next month. And guess what? Lena's helping her plan it. The same Lena who's supposedly miserable under Olga's thumb, the same Lena who calls me to complain about her. I'm starting to wonder if Lena actually enjoys this drama. Maybe she likes playing both sides. Maybe it makes her feel important. So now I'm at a crossroads. Do I keep trying to salvage my friendship with Lena, knowing that she's never going to stand up to Olga? Do I just let it go? Accept that people change and move on? And how do I help my kids through this without making them feel like they're caught in the middle of something they don't even understand? They're just kids. They should be worrying about play dates and homework, not who's on whose side in some ridiculous adult feud. I know this was long, but I had to get it off my chest. If you've made it this far, thank you. I really need to hear from you all. Has anyone else dealt with this kind of situation? What did you do? Because right now, I'm at a complete loss. And just when you think this couldn't get more insane, I heard from another mom, one who stayed neutral in this whole mess, that Olga's been gossiping about me behind my back. She's telling people that I'm the one who's controlling, that I'm the one driving a wedge between the group. Can you imagine? The nerve of this woman. Part 2, a little payback. Ladies, it's time for an update. And believe me, things have gone from bad to worse, if that's even possible. You remember the nonsense with Olga and Lena, and how our little social group was crumbling under the weight of one woman's dictatorship. I thought maybe, just maybe, things would die down after a few weeks of silence. I tried to stay out of it, focus on my own life, let them do their thing. After all, I don't have time to play high school games. I have a family to take care of and kids with actual important problems like school. But of course, when it rains, it pours. First, I noticed a change in my kids. At home, they seemed fine. They're good at shrugging things off, which is something I've always admired about them. But at school, something was off. They were quieter, not as excited about their usual activities, and started making excuses for why they didn't want to hang out with certain friends anymore. I chalked it up to normal kid stuff at first. Maybe a spat between friends, the kind of thing that blows over in a day or two. But this didn't blow over. Turns out, the real reason my kids were suddenly losing friends and coming home in bad moods, it's because the ringleader herself, Olga, had taken her petty little feud to a new level. Oh no, she wasn't satisfied with just poisoning her inner circle against me. That would have been too easy. She had to go after my kids, her kids, along with Lena's. And isn't that a betrayal that stings? Decided that my children were now public enemy number 1 at school. bullying, whispers, dirty looks, you name it. They turned the playground into a war zone. All because of what? Because their mothers have issues that they can't sort out like grown-ups? Can you believe the audacity of this woman? And Lena? Her kids were in on it too. That's the part that really floored me. I had given her the benefit of the doubt, thought maybe she was just weak-willed, maybe she was just scared of upsetting Olga. But no, turns out she's just spineless. Her kids are treating mine like they're beneath them, and she's doing absolutely nothing about it. All those complaints, all those teary phone calls about how she hated the way Olga controlled her, what a joke. She's just as bad. No, she's worse, because at least Olga's upfront about being a dictator. Lena pretends she's better, but when it comes down to it, she's complicit. Now, let me be clear. I can take a lot. I've been around the block, I've seen my share of drama, and I know how to pick my battles. But when it comes to my kids, all bets are off. You mess with my kids, and you've declared war. And Olga, Lena, and their little army of pint-sized bullies, they've made a huge mistake. So what did I do? I'll tell you what I didn't do. I didn't sit around feeling sorry for myself or my kids. I didn't wallow or wait for the school to handle it. Because let's be real, schools rarely handle bullying in any meaningful way. No, I decided to take matters into my own hands. First, I had a little chat with the school. It wasn't hard to make a few well-placed phone calls and drop some choice information about Olga's family and their involvement in a certain incident at the school's last fundraiser. Let's just say, not everyone's as squeaky clean as they pretend to be, and I made sure the right ears heard the right things. Suddenly, Olga and her family weren't quite the golden couple everyone thought they were. The principal, who had been conveniently ignoring the bullying up to this point, suddenly took a much keener interest in what was happening. Funny how that works. But that was just the beginning. I've got a bit of a talent for finding things out. And what I found out about Olga and her precious little family would make your jaw drop. Let's just say, when you're the kind of person who spends so much time criticizing others, maybe you should be a bit more careful about what skeletons you've got hiding in your own closet. Without going into too much detail, because I don't want to get into too much trouble, let's just say that Olga's husband hasn't exactly been a faithful one. And I'm not the only one who knows. How did I use this information? Well, I might have casually mentioned it at a PTA meeting, loud enough for a few key gossip-loving moms to overhear. The story spread like wildfire. Suddenly, people were looking at Olga in a whole new light. Her perfect little image? Cracked. People started asking questions. And what happens when people start asking questions? The truth comes out, or at least enough of it to cause some damage. The best part? I didn't have to lift a finger beyond that. The gossip mill did the rest. By the time the next school event rolled around, Olga was practically a pariah. And Lena? Well, she tried to distance herself from Olga, but it was too late. People lumped them together, and honestly, I'm fine with that. Birds of a feather and all that. And you know what? The bullying stopped. Almost overnight. Funny how kids will turn on each other as soon as they see their parents lose status. Suddenly, my kids weren't the outcasts anymore. They were invited to birthday parties, the whispers in the hall stopped, and the dirty looks were a thing of the past. It's amazing how quickly things turn around when the power dynamic shifts. I'm not saying I feel proud of everything I did. I'm not a saint. But when you're a mom, you do what you have to do to protect your kids. And if that means knocking someone like Olga off her high horse, so be it. She's had it coming for a long time, and honestly, the world's a better place with her reputation in tatters. As for Lena, she tried to reach out, tried to mend fences after Olga went down in flames. She even had the nerve to send me a long, rambling text about how she never meant for any of this to happen, and how she misses our friendship. Please, does she think I'm stupid? She only wants to make nice now that she has no one else to hide behind. I haven't responded, and I don't plan to. Some bridges are meant to stay burned. In the end, my kids are happy, I'm free of the toxic nonsense, and Olga? Well, she's got a lot more to worry about than our little group of moms now. And that, my friends, is what I call karma.